Hey, it's Chuck Armstrong with Loudwire Nights, and this is Loudwire Nights On Demand. It's always great catching up with our good friend Scott Stevens of the Exies, but even more so when he gives us a track-by-track walkthrough of a brand new EP from the Exies. That's right, man. This conversation, this track-by-track first aired on Thursday, June 27th. Here you go. This year has no doubt been the year of the Exies already. They've released two brand new songs following last year's Spirits High. Just a few weeks ago, they reunited for their first live show in years at the Viper Room, which is the legendary venue where they signed their first record deal. And tomorrow they're releasing their brand new EP. It is called Closure. But tonight, man, we are playing that EP in full before anyone else, before it lands anywhere else. And we're celebrating it with the man himself, the frontman of the Exies, Scott Stevens. Scott, you've been a good friend of the show, man. Welcome to Loudwire Nights. Thank you so much for hanging.
Chuck, thank you so much for having me. What an honor. Love that I'm doing this with you. And thank you for coming to our first show in 14 years at the Viper Room.
Dude, that was my privilege, man.
And thanks for, you know what, you did, I think you shot Spirits High, which was the very first time we played that song ever.
I did, yeah.
I mean, it has like 60,000+ views on it already.
I know, man. It's
from
crazy.
You, man. Thank you so much.
From us, man. From us.
Yeah, from us. We played, we did two songs debuted that night. We'd never played Stray before.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. That's wild.
First time ever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is our second biggest streaming song.
Yeah.
According to Spotify. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, as you say that, as you hear, new songs, new EP, this show, I mean, how are you feeling, man? This has to be the busiest the Exies have been, right? In over a decade. Yeah,
it's definitely the busiest we've been. It all is happening very organically. This was never really, I don't think that, me sitting here talking to you was really ever a part of the plan. It was just, I released a song, from almost 4 years ago. And from there, it just, people embraced that track, and one thing led to another. And then a phone call led to another phone call. And then a rehearsal led to another rehearsal. And what if about this? And then we find ourselves here. An EP dropping tomorrow. These are 6 songs that all have meaning to them, and it's just crazy. I mean, I'm talking to the guys, and everybody's just kind of scratching their head a little bit, like, how did we get here? I guess it's just when you decide to do things, choices is what puts you here. So we braved doing that show, that sold out show at the Viper. I heard there was people that couldn't get in, and I feel awful for them. Although I'm kind of like inside, I'm like, wow, we had so many people that couldn't get in. So hopefully, they come in and they're not discouraged, and they can see us.
That's right, man. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, if you're a fan, like that sucks, but also like that's exactly what you want for this band to come back and to be so. Everybody's so excited that you can't even get in. You talking about things happening organically. I mean, how long has this EP sort of been in the mix, as far as putting this together and getting it out?
Well, I think the very first thought I had about when I first heard an Exies melody in my head, after maybe, 12 years of not doing it or something, was in 2019, right before COVID. But, just like I looked at it as a kind of like, and then never thought about it. And it wasn't until I think maybe late March, early April is when, the lockdown was in full swing by March. But I think, we were starting to feel it, right, in like late February, if I remember. So, probably by late April, May, I started writing out of boredom, and not knowing really what to do. But also so intrigued as why was I writing songs for myself again? Where did this come from? Why? I didn't actively go, I wasn't writing every morning trying to figure out like, I'm going to write songs for the Exies again. It just happened in that downtime. And so I followed it. And, and there were a batch by the time we got through to the end of 2021. I think I had maybe like 10 to 12.
Wow. That's amazing.
Not all done though.
No,
Just
just but pieces. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
little ideas, things that I put in a folder. And these six, um, all were finished. It was kind of like a horse race.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
one moves up a notch here, one falls back, one goes up here, and the first song to get done was Spirits High, although it wasn't the first song that I wrote. It was a song called Sad, and yeah, it all happened, I guess, as it's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we're going to talk about all of these tracks, but before we do, I just want to ask before we get into these songs, what's on the horizon? I mean, talking about things kind of taking shape organically and all of that. I get it. That's probably hard to have like, all right, here's step 3, here's step 4, here's step 5. But do you have sort of an idea of maybe what's to come for the Exies?
I have a wish list in my head, that I'm trying to manifest by putting it out there. I am talking currently to my management team, the guys we just spoke yesterday. We're trying to put it together. We're trying to make sense of how do we play more shows? How do we do this cost effectively? Because we're not going to just, get back in a 3-month tour right away. You know what? We're trying to figure out like, how do we play on the weekends and how do we do festivals and things like that? Because, to be honest, playing the show was, I don't know. It was something, it was medicine, I guess, that we all needed and we didn't realize it. And Freddie was the first one a week later to hit me and goes, I don't think I realized how much I missed playing our songs and playing with you guys. And I think he was the hardest one to actually maybe, make that realization. And it was very welcome and it touched my heart. And I mean, he's my brother, I formed this band with him. So, all
right, man. Well, we'll put all that out to the rock gods, and we'll see what happens. So, all right, let's get into this, man. So tomorrow, the new EP comes out. It is called Closure. We are playing it in full over the next couple of hours, and so let's do this. The first track is a song that we know and love on Loudwire. For what it's worth, give us the behind the scenes scoop on this one.
Well, for what it's worth, okay. So this whole EP is a kind of a soft parallel to the 5 stages of grief, even though there's 6 songs. That's why I say it's a loose parallel. When I was writing these songs, like I kind of thought that this would be it. This was the end of the Exies. This would be the final chapters, and this would da-da-da. And so for what it's worth was me looking back on everything that I had done with this band and how much it meant to me. It felt like it was the legacy song. It felt like it was kind of like the sacrifice song too, like everything that I gave, everything that my family gave, my friends, my wife, everybody, what they all gave as we were trying to do, what we were trying to do back then. This song kind of clocked it with, I just hope it was enough because, I did everything I could do. And I think it also, this kind of falls into other people's, other situations in people's lives, when you're with somebody or you have a job or is it a family thing or brother, or sister, a loved one, like, are you giving enough? Did you do enough, looking back on things? And it doesn't have to be your whole life, but it can be something that you tried, something that you did recently, and did you put your heart into it? And did it really mean something to you? Because if it did, you just hope that resonates and that work and that intent that you have in your heart is felt and communicated somehow, I
love that.
That's what it is, man.
And you can hear that in the song too. And the music video too is killer. And we've got that at loudwire.com for people to check out as well. Cause that definitely takes you back through the history of the Exies.
Yeah. And that's exactly, it was, there again, not planned. How does, 17 to 20 years of footage all of a sudden fit neatly into a new song? And the way that Ray Rivard cut that thing and Chad Nicefield, it came together. It gave me goosebumps the first time I saw it. Like, this is what we were celebrating. This is what we were doing, playing some of the biggest places with some of the biggest bands and and headlining our own shows that had 1,000 people at it, 2,000 people at it, 3,000 people. It was an amazing moment to experience, and this song kind of brings it all back in a new nostalgia kind
That's
of
right,
way.
man. That's right. All right. So the next song is a song that it's been around, publicly for a little over a year. You've worked on it for much longer than that. Spirits High. I know fans love this so much. You had mentioned, but it was great to see you make its live debut at the Viper Room at the reunion show. So you've talked more about this song than any other song on the EP because it's been out the longest. But if you've got a memory or a thought behind this one, hit us with it, man.
Yeah, Spirits High was, the song that felt like some kind of hopeful optimism, some kind of optimism at the end of this tunnel of COVID and like this lockdown, and it can't stay like this forever. And, I'm kind of going a little bit like crazy here, a little cabin fever. And when I started, I remember, I think I just kind of sang that I believe, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I wrote it down. I said, well, that's it. Like I can't change this moment right now. So obviously I'm where I am for a reason. And, there's going to be a way out. Somehow there's got to be a way out. And this song was that diary song, that first one to be completed that felt like the antidote somehow to what I was feeling and what I think a lot of us were feeling. And I had the best time, trying to think back on like what we had done musically and the sounds we had used and the guitars and the amps and things like that. And, it's a clean tone mixed with a piano and that kind of stuff. It was an adventure. And it really, I think it really came out very authentic to us, so I'm very proud.
Absolutely, man. All right. The third track on Closure is one that you had just kind of briefly mentioned already, but it's Sad. SAD, which I know stands for season affect disorder, right? So this one may not be as hopeful as Spirits High. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because it's the first one. It's where like the chorus lyric changes with every chorus. I'm 7 days in and I'm trying to cope. And then the next chorus, I'm 7 months in and I'm trying to cope. And then I just stretch it out to I'm 7 years in, which we're getting pretty close to that. And I use that as kind of a metaphor for, the seasonal affective disorder that I feel is the world, just everything being turned on its head. And wanting change was the thing of that song. And it was, well, I may not get everything that I want to happen, which is there's a line that says, dreaming of a future that I'll never have, but the days are getting brighter and I'm just so sick of being sad, so like, it means it's not a fatalistic kind of a thing. It's more like, man, I just want out of this cage and I know nothing, I'm not going to get everything that I'm wishing for, but I'm hopeful, and I'm just putting it out there that I'm feeling pretty messed up right now. Yeah. And this is another diary song that felt good. It was another medicine antidote, whatever you want to cure to how I was feeling at that time, and it birthed Spirits High. So without that song, Spirits High wouldn't even exist.
Oh, I love hearing that, man. All right, so that wraps up the first half of the EP, the first 3 songs. All 3 of these songs had been out in some fashion prior to the EP. The final 3 songs, though, all 3 of these are brand new right now, tonight, tomorrow, when the EP comes out. So let's get into that. Track number 4, Euphoria. Go for it, man.
Euphoria it's kind of a banger. And
it really is, man.
It kind of is, man. And it takes a nice journey. That was just one, like all of these that just kind of sat around. And I think I wrote the chorus melody in my head with no words. And then, as you start to hum it, if anybody's ever watched Let It Be, the Beatles, they just hum and they hum. And then all of a sudden the lyrics start to form. And that's kind of how I write. And pretty soon, I was thinking of the disillusionment of things, and hey, this isn't what I was told life would be like when I was a kid. I feel a little bit like I'm lied to, a little bit of disenchantment here, and I'm going to have an argument with that. And so with me putting my foot down and going, hey, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. This isn't life and how I thought it was, what I was sold, the bill of goods that I was sold, that everything is going to be perfect and you're going to be happy and whatnot. And it couldn't be further from the truth when you're stuck in lockdown and nobody's talking anymore. And so I like the other ones, it became diary song number like 3 or 4. And I think it was one of the last ones to get finished. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It's about disillusionment and trying to find a way out of that. So I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but
no, it's
just
good,
keeping
man.
it real, everybody. I mean, it was a hard time.
Yeah, well, and listen, sometimes the only way to hope or the only way to light is to confront the darkness, right? To just come face to face with it. So that's what you got to do.
Right. We all look for things to lift us, through all social media, but life is not always, it's a balance. Not everything is glory all the time, man. And sometimes you got to face up to that. And I think songs that don't try to sugarcoat it a little bit, they're good medicine. And it lets you know that I'm feeling what you feel, and I hope you're feeling what I feel. And that's what that's
huge,
about.
Man. And that's important, man. All right. Next up, track number 5, The Hill.
The Hill. The Hill was the last song finished. Freddie Herrera, my bass player, got in there literally like maybe a day before mastering and came in, and we tweaked the bass and he slammed it. And that was the very first song that I spoke of in 2019 where I heard a melody in my head, and it was the chorus melody for this song. And the first lyric that I wrote after starting to now write again was, I thought I had my fill, but it's not enough. That was very telling to like, I'm going down the road of writing for the Exies again. How is this possible, and why is this happening?
Wow.
And that song, I think, is clocking really well the struggle for all of us in life, no matter what it is, of just trying to get over things sometimes, to a greener pasture, to a bluer sky, to something that just, we all have our ups and downs, and I really enjoy the amazing moments that I'm blessed with, but man, I'm just like everybody else. Life is hard, and I got to fight to be happy sometimes and to get the things that I want, and I work really hard at it, like most people. And that song, was a favorite when I turned in the EP. They're talking maybe that could be another single. So we'll see. It's going to be up to the fans and the songs that they like. But that was in the order of the 5 stages of grief. That was the struggle song. It was the struggle to understand everything that I was about ready to do again.
All right. Lastly, man, we're here. The end of the EP, the closing track, the title track of the EP, Closure.
Closure was one that I started on the piano, and I had this fantasy in my head, and this helped me write the chorus. I imagined that Lizzie Hale was singing the harmony with me because it's really high, and I really had to squeak it out. And I thought, how beautiful would this be if Lizzie did this song with me, and I used, because I've worked with her so much, and we've written like 30 songs together, and because I was hearing her voice, it helped me with my part. And when that chorus melody started to happen, and I started to realize what the feeling of this song was, this is the end of the road. This is acceptance. This is like, in the 5 stages of grief, the final stage is, shoot, I'm blanking right now, but it's like, it's acceptance, right? It's to be at peace. And I realized that this song was that. It was this moment of, oh man, I've got to be brave enough to say that this is the last thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to be okay with that. And I hope everybody else is okay with that, because I just don't know if I've got it in me to do any more. And this was like 2.5 to 3 years ago, mind you, from today. And so at that time, that song, it really felt like it was the closing statement. It's a long song. I think it's the longest one I've ever done, maybe like 440. I could have made it shorter. I chose not to. I left in all the lyrics, the length of everything as a final statement. And as it says on the last line is, I came in alone and I'm going to go out just the same. And I felt like that was a way to kind of round up all these feelings, all these songs, these chapters. And in order for me to move on, if there is more Exies music, if there is these things, I have to close the door on these chapters so that I can do something else. And
that's huge, man.
That's what it is, man.
All right. So you just walked through all 6 tracks of this new EP. How are you feeling, man?
I don't know, man. This is all so surreal to me. I can't believe that I'm here. And look, the band was the thing that I loved so much. And it was so hard to say goodbye to it. Or to just stop. As everybody's kind of knows now, we never broke up. We just stopped. And I think, playing that show, putting out these songs is some redemption. And everybody can use a dose of redemption in their life to right some wrongs or to revisit something that made you feel really good. And this is that. Not everybody will like every song. Some people will like others, but it doesn't really matter. It's like I had to put out the document. This is it. You're the first one to hear it. Now people are hearing it, and the rest of the world hears it tomorrow. I hope you find yourself in it somehow and can relate to this, from the dark to the light, as cliche as it is, to try to find the hope. And as I say, it's like my songs are tragically hopeful. I'm somewhat of a sullen person, but at the same time, I have an optimism in me, and I want people to do well, and I want people to feel things, and maybe they can feel like what I do, and we can have that connection together. And if that happens, it's a beautiful thing. You were there. The show, everybody sang every lyric to every song.
It's beautiful, man. Yeah,
every song. Yeah. And that's so hard not to get emotional on stage and well up, because you see that we're just having a dialogue between us now, which is what it's all about. Music is all about that for me too.
Dude, what a perfect way to close out the celebration, man. Scott Stevens, thank you so much for hanging. And really, I can't thank you enough for giving us the Closure EP to play tonight. Truly, before anyone else, you gave it to the Loudwire family. And I can't thank you enough for that, man. So you know this, but you are welcome on the show anytime. I cannot wait for the next time to hang, man.
Tomorrow.
Let's do it again.
Thanks, brother. It's really been my honor. I feel so grateful. Thank you so much.
That wraps up this episode of Loudwire Nights on Demand. Stay caught up with everything happening in the world of rock and metal on the Loudwire app and at loudwire.com.